Hey there folks, it's Ben here and I have Eugene with me today, and we're going to look at a couple of websites to do some site reviews. This is the final in our series on conversion. The whole nature of the series being that more than just driving traffic, you need to obviously be working on the conversion rate, the number of people who take the action that you want, and by increasing that you magnify the value of traffic and everything else that you're getting. And so it's great to be able to have Eugene with me. Aside from being the CEO and a colleague in the Samurai business, he's also an incredibly gifted marketer. And just as we were having a brief chat a moment ago looking at this site, the number of insights that he rolled off the top of his tongue really without thinking too much at all was quite impressive. So hopefully we'll get some real value out of today. The first site that we're going to look at was sent to us by a lady named Rachel, and I picked it really just because I liked the content of what she was trying to do. Rachel is her site teachingthefuture.net is essentially a blog for parents of children with learning disabilities, and when I dug into the site, clearly Rachel's an expert in that space. She's got 7 children, 3 of which have learning disabilities, and as you read her content, it's really good content. And so I suppose in terms of social value, I really like what she was trying to do, and so we thought we'd pick that as one of the sites that we're going to review today. Now, the challenge with this site is that it actually doesn't sell anything, and so we'll talk a little bit about that, but a lot of the items on our conversion checklist, which we've promoted through the blog series, are actually around the way that your sales offer is constructed, and so that's made the checklist a little bit hard to refer to, but there is a range of ways that we think we can help, and so we'll jump into it. Huge, in terms of your first thoughts when you looked at the site and the structure of the heading and kind of, I suppose, this issue of orientating and grounding your visitor, did anything come to mind?
I think the number one thing, and again, I'm not the target audience, so I don't have children, I don't have children with learning disabilities, but I didn't really have any idea about what this site was about. Like within the first 5 seconds, just looking through it, teaching the future, what does that mean? Hand-on learning games, what does that actually mean? Okay, preschoolers with special needs, that's starting to give me an idea, but just within 5 seconds, I don't know who's it for and what the benefit for me investing my time in this site is going to be. What's the payoff of this site for me? So that I found that was probably the most challenging thing for me.
And it's one of the things that you are consistently reminding me of is the fact that it's easy to talk about features before benefits, but most of the time what we should actually be doing is screaming a benefit and then justifying that benefit with a feature, rather than, so a benefit would be learning games, sorry, a feature would be learning games, but what is the benefit of a learning game? Is a learning game that it's going to, enable my child to keep up in school, it's going to enable them to live a fulfilled life. The benefit isn't there, it's the feature that we've got learning games here.
Yeah, or scientifically proven ways to help your preschooler learn at 67% better, like within 7 days guaranteed. I mean, that's obviously a much more salesy kind of headline, but having a specific payoff for visiting this site.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about structure. The call to action that does exist. There's not a sales call to action, but there is a sign up for a free workbook, and so I went through that process. But when I look at this, and I'll be interested to see what your thoughts are. It just looks really weak to me. There's not the call to action doesn't stand out. There's no clear benefits of why I would take action on this. It's the material. Again, I've read some of this content. The content is excellent, but the structure and it just doesn't stand out for me. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean the text is really, really tiny, so there's no contrast. And remember, when you take a look at this site, the human brain within seconds, it's looking at what's this site about? So it's obviously the eye gets attracted here to teaching the future, which doesn't make much sense. This stuff is this sort of stuff disappears because it's sort of a light grey. There's a call to action up there which you can't really see. So your eye probably goes over here next to see these things and feeds Twitter, Facebook. That doesn't really offer any benefits, and then probably the eye goes over here and takes a look at the kid and stuff. So this stuff just does not get seen. There's no benefit. I would beef that up, move this up the page, but it just needs to
and objectify it as well.
Yeah.
In terms of it, like in terms of it, we've got a free workbook here. What's the visual representation of that workbook?
Yeah, make it look like a physical product. Show an actual physical book, or
some physical representation of the thing.
Yeah, or even a picture of a book with a kid or something like that. Just to connect the two. But make sure there's even if you didn't read the text, it's clear what this thing is going to be about. And even this button down here, it's just tiny. Just make this thing really, really huge, really, really stand out. High contrast, and it's just far too down the page, and really needs to get some premium real estate, particularly because you don't have a product to sell at the moment. So your number one thing is about building a list. So everything on this site really needs to, be giving people reasons to opt into that list.
Yeah. Now, what we should do, there's a James Dyson.
Yep.
I'll put link in the blog post on this. James Dyson over, I think it's businessjolt.com. There's one of his blog posts which I've probably directed a dozen people to, which just goes through. He's a designer and an online marketer. Different structures of ways that he's done essentially these call to action boxes. And there's different places you can put them on the page, and they can be pop over or whatever. And he goes through those, but it gives you just some really nice visuals to copy. So I'll shoot that in the show notes and go and check out James's stuff. It's worth a look. In terms of the other thing, just a couple of other structural things that stood out to me. As I read down this blog post, I couldn't skim it. So I read down and said slides away, balancing fun, monkey see, monkey do. Now these are actually the names of some really good games that you can play with children with disabilities. But for me as a new person coming to the site, I couldn't skim that and say, what's the benefit of the slides away game? What's the benefit of the balancing fun game? I didn't get context. I couldn't just read the headlines and kind of get 70% of what it was talking about.
Yeah.
So,
and in copywriting, this is called the secondary reading path. So that if someone just skims the sales letter, I know this is content, but I'll get into that in a minute. That the subheads actually need to tell a story. They need to sell. If you didn't read any of the text, but you just read the subheads, you should be able to understand, get the key benefits and get excited about, the product, or in this case, the content that's there. So it's really, really important. And things like slides away, again, they're kind of clever,
they're clever names for games.
Clever names, but what does that mean to me? What's the benefit of the slides away? Game for my child.
Let's, again, because this is a blog post, let's talk a little bit about an alternative way that Rachel could maybe structure the blog post. Because as we look at it here, we've got hands-on learning, making a trip to the park an extraordinary experience. Most children love going to the park, blah, blah, blah. However, and it sort of it starts in with nice sort of, introductory, sort of a little bit flowery text. One of the things that, again, you've taught me is that every blog post can actually still be it can be completely informative, but it can still use sales techniques to actually get read. And so, you can essentially open up with problem and agitate that problem, and then that can drive people into the rest of actually justifying taking the time out of their day to read the rest of the content.
Yeah, it's absolutely critical. We're in a time-starved world, and if someone stumbles on this site, and they're going to make up their mind within 5 seconds whether they're going to invest the time to read, maybe spend 5-10 minutes reading this blog post. If you can't clearly communicate to them what is the value of them spending their time, it's like spending money, spending their time to read that blog post, then you are doing them a disservice. So it's not about selling a product, it's about selling them the reason why they should actually read, invest that time. So the structure of the content that you're writing, particularly if you're trying to build some credibility, get them involved and get them engaged so that they might leave their contact details with you to get more information, is it's the same as the sales process. State the problem, push some pain points, some agitation, reveal, and then basically reveal that the solution to this problem that you've posed is contained within the content of your blog post, and then make sure that at the end of the blog post there is a call to action, which might be to, hey, for more information, go sign up, for this, for my newsletter.
And it's interesting that last piece I wouldn't mind highlighting a little bit more. That again, you should end your blog posts with calls to action. So even if it's just like us on Facebook. Did you like the content? You put that in a PS. I wrote recently two posts on the Samurai site that got the same sort of traffic volumes. One of them I put a PS asking people to like, and the other one we didn't. The one that did, we got 100 likes, and the one that didn't, we got 10. Just the action of asking people to like it, and that then drives viral traffic and other things. So each blog post that you end, you should ask people to do something, and whether that's even just as much as making a comment or something else. You've delivered value, you should ask them for something in return to create that conversation.
That's right, and it creates interactivity, but it's even more than that. It sounds really evil when I say it, probably, but it's about conditioning people. If people come there, and every single time you send an email, or you put up a blog post, you're asking them to respond. So over time, they get used to doing something every time that you put a message out there. So down the track, when you actually have a product to sell or something, then they're going, oh no, now they're asking me to do something. No, because you've asked them to do something. Or every single communication that you've had up to then, you've communicated with a purpose. So there's a lot of people they're really scared of selling, so they'll put out all this great content, and it doesn't ask people for anything. And then by the time they go and actually ask people to do something, then people go, how dare you sell something to me or ask me to do something, because people are not used to it.
Let's talk about selling something, because part of this review was sort of limited because we couldn't actually look at your sales page for the ebook or whatever it is that you're ultimately going to sell. You've got your free giveaway, but someone in this situation, Huge, who hasn't actually got something to sell yet, is their best thing to then just go and take the next 3 months and get that thing ready to sell, or should they do something in the meantime?
Absolutely not. I mean, I'd say I don't understand this market, but if I was going into the market, I want to make sure that I understood. I mean, we obviously sell a software called Market Samurai, which is into market research, to actually prove that there is a market. And just because there is a problem doesn't mean people are prepared to spend money to solve that problem. So while you're creating your product, you should try and find, if it's for learning disability stuff, find some really great books, create a reading list, find some affiliate products and some of the different affiliate programs that are out there, and start to promote these things as resources and do reviews of these kinds of products, interspersed with your content in your autoresponder sequence, and even have a resources place on your website, and actually test to see whether people are spending money. If people are not spending money on someone else's product, there's a very, very high probability that they will not spend money on the product that you create. So before you waste all this time and creating a product, make sure that people are going to actually whip out their credit cards and spend money with you.
Now, a couple of other thoughts. Sometimes it's possible for someone, Rachel, hearing this, might be, I'm just sort of imagining what she's like as a person. She might be sitting there going, oh, but this really hard sell, internet marketing stuff isn't for me. And I think sales techniques work across the board. Styles change with markets. Mm-hmm. And so in this market, it would still be completely justified to review a product and say you liked it. It would still be completely justified to list a reading list down the right-hand side. It would, but potentially the color tones and the other visual elements are going to be relevant to your market, but the techniques don't change.
Absolutely.
And so don't be afraid of those techniques.
I don't even call them sales techniques. I think sales is communication, effective communication for influence. And so these are communication techniques more than anything. Like, you just don't, they're often used in sales. But yes, you don't have to use cheesy sales headlines and things, but the principles stay the same.
The last piece that I want to get to is, I had to dig into this site, and to be blunt, I would only have done it if I was doing this review. I had to dig into this site to find the photo of you. It's halfway down your About page, and when I got down there, I actually read that you have 7 children, of whom 3 have got learning disabilities, and instantly your credibility went through the roof. And I thought, I want a photo of Rachel on the front page and a synopsis underneath saying why she is worthy of my time and attention. And if I was Rachel, I'd have a thing that here is book Rachel to speak. Even if you don't get any bookings, to me it says I'm worthy of being, I deem myself worthy of being a speaker. Correct. So you should listen to me. I'm important enough that people would do that. Your content is fantastic. Clearly you know your stuff. You could do great work with guest blogging and syndication and that sort of stuff, because you know your stuff. This is not a product or an area that you are new to, but you are an authority and you don't represent that well enough on your own site.
Absolutely. That, you know, when you go to the About Us page, if you just visit there now, you know, you got this benefit stuff, but here, like down here,
we get this dodgy looking photo.
Yeah.
That like dodgy into not, you know, she's not unattractive, but dodgy as in the photo quality is poor. Get a proper photograph of yourself, and this information is fantastic.
Yeah, and I think that's your hook. Like, you know, if I was writing copy for you, you know, I would be putting some of this kind of stuff into your headline, into your core messaging behind your website. You know, a parent of 7 children, 3 of which have learning disabilities.
This is great.
And then you're talking about the secrets of a mum who's had to deal with these things. You know. I think that, you know, that gives you so much credibility, and I reckon you should position your whole site around it. I reckon you might want to, if you haven't got Teaching the Future, you might even want to.
You might have do it as your brand.
Do it as
personal
your
name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I don't know what your surname is, Rachel, but there was Rachel Smith, and you could get rachelsmith.com or some other variant of that. Then that might work.
Yeah.
So, Rachel, hopefully there's some value in there. And anything else you want to throw in?
We probably haven't talked so much about the navigation, all that kind of stuff. Just a couple of quick things. This is just taking up far too much space.
Yeah.
There, so if you want to get people down to the meat of your message, you know, really, really quickly, and also
you've got this prefix word happening on all the posts.
Yeah. So if you can take a look at all these posts down here, we've got hands-on learning games teaching kids how to tell time. Now this is a big sort of, you know, I believe rookie copywriter mistake to make, is that they prefix the feature before the benefit. So, you know, the kind of benefit in that statement is teaching kids how to tell time. Well, actually, it should be teaching kids with learning disabilities how to tell time. You know, quickly. You know, in
3 minutes or less.
Yeah. And then say using hands-on learning games. So that's the technology. That's the feature. That's the left brain thing about why they should read the post. The right brain thing, the thing which is about the emotional, the exciting reason, is the how-to aspect of things. So just by reversing, putting the feature before the benefit, just creates more compelling headlines.
Yeah. So teaching kids how to tell time. Teaching kids with learning disabilities.
No, actually, teaching your kids
with learning disabilities how to tell time. And then hyphen, you know, hands-on techniques or something like that.
Using hands-on learning games.
So just a bit of a structural issue there.
Yeah.
But Rachel, we hope you get some value out of that, and appreciate you taking the time to shoot through an email and be a part of the process.